Some people don't hate you because of what you do. They hate you because you shine when they're stuck in the dark. The war against you isn't personal. It's a fight they wage against the universe's chosen warrior, but they don't realize they're battling a force far greater than you. Every insult thrown your way is a sign they're scared, weak, and losing control. They're exhausted, worn down by the light you carry, the light they wish they had but will never touch. They argue and lash out, not because you're flawed, but because your power shatters their fragile lies. If you're ready to break the silence and stand tall, hit that like button and subscribe. Help this message reach every chosen soul who needs to hear the truth. Because the more of us who rise, the louder the universe's call becomes and the more unstoppable we get. When you join, you send a signal that this is no ordinary fight. This is the awakening. You are not just anyone. You are the chosen one, marked by the universe's invisible hand, carrying a power that haunts the minds of those who oppose you. This power isn't loud or boastful. It's steady, relentless, and impossible to ignore. It burns quietly in your core like a wildfire, unstoppable and reshaping the world around you. Your enemies tremble because your light exposes their shadows, and that truth scares them more than anything else. They see you as a threat, not because you've done something wrong, but because your very existence challenges their comfortable lies. When they argue about you, they're really arguing with the universe's design, trying desperately to rewrite the story they fear you'll tell. They don't realize that no matter how loud they shout or how fiercely they resist, their attacks only prove one thing: you are the spark that sets their world on fire. To the chosen, doubting your path is like a lighthouse questioning its own beam while the storm rages. You are never alone. The universe walks with you, guiding every step, lighting every dark corner your enemies hide in. Remember, the darkest nights are never permanent, because the stars shine brightest when the sky is blackest. Your light is not just your shield, it is your sword. So when they try to break you down, remind yourself, the universe didn't pick someone fragile. It chose a warrior with a heart of fire and a spirit unbreakable. If you ever feel isolated, it's only because the noise of the world is too loud to hear the quiet strength inside you. But that strength is real, it is fierce, and it will outlast every attack. Every time your enemies plot against you, know this: they are fighting the power that created you. They are tangled in their own fears, drowning in their own doubts, while you rise higher with every step. You're not the problem they scream about. You're the solution they can never accept. Your presence alone unsettles their lies and forces the world to reckon with the truth. Stay fierce, stay chosen. Your light is a revolution no one can stop. And now, let's break it down, piece by piece. If you're truly one of the chosen, you'll feel that undeniable pull to stay and hear every word, because this message is made for you. People are arguing about you, sick and tired of trying to put out your light, but here's the truth: you were never the problem. Drop a comment below with the number 77 if you're ready to own your power and stop letting their noise control you. Let's get into it. Number 1. When they throw stones, they break their own glass. Here's the brutal truth your enemies don't want you to hear. Every time they try to knock you down, they're only breaking themselves. They're swinging at shadows, fighting a force far beyond their reach, the power the universe has quietly placed inside you. They rage because they see a light they can't snuff out, a fire they can't contain. The more they attack, the more they reveal their own weakness. And you stand tall, untouched by their venom, because you are not just any target. You are the chosen one, the universe's own storm, and that power humbles even your fiercest critics. They wonder how you keep going, how you don't break when the world turns its back or points its finger. The answer? The universe itself bends its will to guide you. You are not alone in this battle. Doubting your light? That's the poison they want you to swallow, the silent whisper meant to weaken your spine. But here's what the chosen know deep down. A seed buried in darkness doesn't question the soil. It grows toward the sun, no matter what. Your doubt? It's the enemy's last hope, but it will fail. Imagine a river carving through stone. It isn't because the water is stronger than rock, but because it is relentless and patient. That river is you. They are the rock, stubborn and brittle. When the universe aligns with you, it's like the earth itself moves beneath their feet, shaking their false foundations. They played with the system, trying to bend the rules, but the system was never theirs to control. They thought they were puppeteers. Instead, they were tangled in the strings. The exhaustion they feel. It's not from you. It's from fighting a truth they can't swallow. They're tired of their own lies, exhausted from wearing masks that crack with every word you speak. Their stories about you have changed more times than a broken clock trying to tell the right time, yet they still miss the mark. You aren't the villain in their stories. You're the spotlight exposing their shadows, and shadows flee from light. Some days, even the chosen stumble. You might question if the weight on your shoulders is too much, or if the silence around you means you're truly alone. But remember, the universe doesn't call the faint-hearted. It summons those who can weather storms, who don't just survive, they transform every battle into a stepping stone. If you ever feel weak, it's just the darkness before the dawn. Doubting your light is like a lion hesitating before the hunt. The moment you doubt is the moment you lose, but you are no stranger to victory. Ask yourself, who else has the universe's backing like you do? When the cosmos aligns, stars shift, winds change, and even time seems to pause for a moment to watch what you'll do next. They are not fighting you. They are fighting the forces that move the very fabric of reality. That's why their efforts are desperate and disorganized, like ants trying to hold back a tidal wave. They're drowning in their own confusion while you rise with clarity and purpose. And to those who argue about you, who spread rumors like wildfire, hoping to burn your name to ash, your fire only feeds the storm inside the chosen. Their exhaustion is your victory lap. They are sick and tired of you, yes, but that's because they recognize the power you hold is beyond them. Your existence threatens their comfortable illusions, and that terrifies them. They lash out not to hurt you, but because they cannot bear the truth you represent. It's time to stop listening to the noise and start owning your story. The universe chose you, and that means something no one else can ever understand. You are not a mistake or a problem to be fixed. You are a force of nature, a revolution wrapped in human skin. Doubt is a luxury you cannot afford, not because you are perfect, but because you are powerful beyond measure. So, stand firm when the exhaustion sets in, both in you and those who oppose you. Their weariness is a sign that your light is breaking through, that the system they tried to manipulate is falling apart. When they throw stones, they only shatter their own fragile glass walls. And behind those walls, fear, envy, and a deep, painful recognition that you were never the problem. They were never ready for the chosen. Your path is not easy, but it is yours. Embrace the power the universe has given you and let it haunt your enemies like a ghost they cannot escape. The chosen one does not apologize for their light. They let it burn brighter, even when the world tries to drown it in darkness. You are the storm they never saw coming, the truth they tried to bury, and no matter how hard they fight, you will always rise. Number 2, they weren't defending you, they were guarding their own illusions. Here's a bitter pill to swallow. Chosen one, the war waged around you isn't about you at all. It's about the lie they built to make themselves feel safe. When the world argues about who you are, they're not confused. They know the truth deep down. But the truth? It's a threat to everything they thought they understood. So instead of facing reality, they clung to a fake story, a false version of you that made their own fragile egos comfortable. They weren't defending you, they were defending their own delusions. Think about that for a moment. All the noise, all the whispers, the endless debates were not about the person you are, but about the mask they plastered on you. That mask was their shield. It kept them from looking in the mirror and admitting they were wrong. They jumped on the bandwagon of gossip, fueled by fear and insecurity, too afraid to question the narrative they'd helped spread. It's easier to pick a scapegoat than to face the truth, because the truth demands courage, and most of them don't have it. Admitting you weren't the problem would shatter their comfortable little world. It would mean acknowledging the red flags they ignored, the moments they stayed silent when they should have spoken up. It would expose their cowardice and complicity. That's why they screamed louder, dug deeper, and fought harder to keep that illusion alive, no matter how cracked and fragile it had become. Comfort is a drug, and they were addicted. They needed that lie to justify their inaction, their judgment, and their betrayal. It's the same comfort that lets people sleep while injustice spreads, that lets them turn their backs instead of stepping forward. But like all addictions, it eventually destroys everything it touches. The story they crafted to hold you down is collapsing under its own weight, crumbling because it was never built on truth. You see, the universe doesn't create chaos for no reason. The storms in your life, the battles you fight, they're not punishments. They're the system recalibrating, breaking down the old lies to make space for your real power. Those who sided against you, they thought they were playing the game, but they were just pieces being moved around by forces far greater than themselves. They tried to defend a lie, but in doing so, they became prisoners of it. And here's the hardest truth for the chosen to hear. Sometimes the hardest battles aren't with your enemies, but with yourself. Doubt creeps in when the noise gets loudest. You wonder if you really are as powerful as the universe claims. You question if the path you're on is worth the isolation, the pain, the endless arguments. But doubt is exactly what the enemy wants. It's the poison that seeps in when you stop believing in the force behind you. Remember this, being chosen doesn't mean you're free from struggle. It means you're meant to endure, to rise through fire and storms. The universe isn't waiting for you to be perfect. It's waiting for you to be relentless. The power inside you is not a fragile gift. It's a fierce weapon forged in adversity. When you feel alone, when your light flickers under pressure, that's when you must stand taller, roar louder, and remind yourself that the lie they defend is already breaking. They weren't defending you because they believed in you. They were defending a story that kept them comfortable in their small roles, their safe corners. But the truth has a way of sneaking in, of cracking even the hardest shells. Every time they argue, every time they try to drag you down, they reveal how terrified they are of what you represent. Your power unsettles them because it exposes their own weaknesses, their own failures to be honest and brave. Ask yourself, how long can a house built on lies stand before it collapses? Their defenses are crumbling because the foundation was never strong. You, on the other hand, are rooted in something eternal. The universe's choice is not a label. It's a force that moves mountains and breaks chains. It's the quiet certainty that no matter how loud the world screams, your light cannot be dimmed. So, to the chosen who wrestles with doubt, this is your battle cry. The noise around you isn't the enemy. It's the soundtrack of the old world falling apart. The people who once defended the lie are tired, exposed, and losing their grip. And you? You are the unstoppable force the universe unleashed to rewrite the story. Stop apologizing for who you are or trying to fix what was never broken. Your power isn't in their approval. It's in your unwavering faith in the force that picked you. When they defend the lie, you defend the truth with every breath, every step, every choice. The universe is on your side, and nothing can stop a chosen one who knows their worth. Stand firm, speak loud, shine bright, because the lie they guard is cracking, and your truth is the hammer breaking it apart. They weren't defending you, they were defending their own fear. Now it's time for you to defend your destiny. Number 3. They were fighting their own shadows, not you. Here's the raw truth. Chosen one, the battlefield you found yourself on was never really about you. The real war was raging inside the hearts and minds of those who chose to throw stones your way. They weren't attacking your light. They were wrestling with the darkness they refused to see in themselves. You were the mirror reflecting their fears, the living proof of the truths they buried deep where no one else could find them. Every word they hurled, every battle they started, it was a fight against their own reflection, projected onto you. You weren't the one igniting the fire. No, you were the flashlight cutting through the smoke and shadows, exposing the cracks in their armor. Your calm amidst their storm was like a thunderclap to their fragile egos. Your confidence wasn't arrogance. It was a beacon that illuminated their self-doubt, the doubts they desperately tried to hide behind loud voices and angry faces. They hated you not because you caused their pain, but because you made it impossible to keep pretending the pain wasn't there. Imagine a room filled with people looking at their own reflections in a cracked mirror. The cracks aren't caused by the mirror itself. They're the fractures within the souls of those staring into it. You, chosen one, are that mirror. When you walk into their world, you don't just appear. You shine a light that forces them to confront what they've spent years avoiding. That light is uncomfortable, but it's necessary. It's a harsh reminder that the chaos they blame on you is actually chaos they carry inside themselves. They saw in you the very things they refused to admit: fear, insecurity, failure. But instead of facing those demons, they projected them onto you. Every attack was a desperate attempt to silence that flashlight, because deep down they knew the light would reveal their truth. You weren't their enemy, you were their reckoning. Your presence shattered their illusions, and that scared them more than any battle ever could. Your peace, that quiet strength you carry even when the world tries to shake you, became their noise. The louder their chaos, the brighter your light shined in contrast. When you stood firm in your truth, it made their confusion and self-doubt impossible to hide. And that's when the real fight began, not against you, but against themselves. They were fighting shadows, ghosts of their own making, using you as the battleground. This is the hardest part for the chosen to accept. Sometimes the conflict you endure is not because you're doing something wrong, but because your existence forces others to face uncomfortable truths. The mirror you hold up is sharp and unyielding, and it cuts through the lies they told themselves to survive. But here's the secret power of being chosen. You don't break under their pressure, you become stronger. Every attempt to dim your light only makes it burn fiercer. You might hear their words, feel their resistance, and wonder if the fight is ever going to end. But remember, this isn't your battle, it's theirs. You are simply the reflection they can't run from, the flashlight in their darkest hour. When they lash out, it's their pain speaking, not your failure. Their chaos is a storm within, and your peace is the calm they wish they had. Think of it like this. A flashlight doesn't start a fire, but it reveals where the sparks are hiding. You illuminate the truth in a world filled with smoke and mirrors, and when that truth is revealed, it can be terrifying for those who built their lives on lies and denial. They're not fighting you, they're fighting their own shadows, and every shadow retreats when faced with light. To the chosen who struggles with this reality, don't let their internal battles shake your foundation. You were never meant to carry their darkness. Your role is to shine, to stand tall, and to let the universe's power flow through you without hesitation. Doubt is the enemy's whisper, trying to convince you that their fight is against you, but it's a lie designed to confuse and weaken you. Stand in your light, even when the world tries to drag you into their darkness. Your strength is a beacon for others who feel lost in the chaos, a reminder that peace can exist amidst the storm. You are not alone, and your power is undeniable. The universe chose you not to be a victim of their battles, but to be the force that ends them. So next time you feel the weight of their attacks, remember, they are not fighting you, they are fighting themselves, and in that fight, your light is unstoppable. Number 4, turning their insecurity into your weapon. They didn't attack you because you were weak or dangerous. They came for you because you were untouchable, your calm in the storm, your quiet strength when chaos roared around you, shattered their fragile masks. It wasn't your actions that scared them, it was your unshakable peace. You stood there, steady and unbothered, while they twisted and turned in a whirlwind of insecurity and fear. That's the real reason they came for you, because your very existence exposed everything they desperately tried to hide. When someone's whole world is built on shaky ground, the sight of someone who stands firm is unbearable. Your confidence wasn't just a mirror, it was a weapon they couldn't defend against. So what did they do? They weaponized their own insecurities, firing lies and exaggerations like arrows aimed to wound. They took your smallest flaws and blew them up into mountains, trying to make you fall, to prove to themselves that you were no different, that you were just as broken, just as flawed. But you didn't snap. You didn't let their twisted words pull you into their chaos. You held your ground, wrapped in a quiet dignity that only the truly chosen can possess. That dignity was louder than any shout, stronger than any insult. It wasn't just silence, it was a declaration. Your calm wasn't weakness. It was your armor, impenetrable and shining with the power of the universe itself. This is the power the insecure fear most, the power to stay whole when everything is trying to tear you apart. They expected you to crumble under pressure, to lash back or break down, but you rose above it, and that alone told a story they couldn't rewrite. The louder their noise became, the clearer it showed their desperation. Their attacks were like waves crashing against a mountain. You didn't move, but they exhausted themselves trying. Remember this, when people weaponize their insecurity, they're not fighting you, they're fighting their own fears. They see your strength and hate it because it shines a light on their weaknesses. They twist your words not to understand you, but to control the narrative they want the world to believe. But their stories are cracks in a wall that your light is breaking down. Imagine a glass fortress. Their insecurities are the cracks forming in the walls, and your calm is the hammer breaking it open. They try to shatter you to rebuild the lie that everyone is just like them, flawed, fragile, and lost. But you're not. You are the fortress built on the foundation of the universe's choice, unbreakable and eternal. To the chosen who feels the weight of their attacks, remember, your silence is louder than their screams. Your strength is a weapon they cannot wield because it comes from a place beyond fear and doubt. When they try to pull you into their chaos, refuse to follow. Stay rooted in your power, knowing that the universe stands with you, guarding your light against every shadow they cast. Your peace is your rebellion. Your quiet dignity is your victory. They came for you because you were unbothered, and that is exactly why you will always win. Number 5. When their old scars bleed onto you. Listen closely, chosen one. What you're facing isn't just about today. It's about every hidden wound, every betrayal, every piece of pain they buried deep and never faced. You didn't cause their hurt. No, you did something far more dangerous. You reminded them of the pain they refused to heal. You became the lightning rod for every unresolved scar, the target for ghosts they locked away in the darkest corners of their minds. They didn't lash out because of who you are. They lashed out because of who they've been too afraid to confront. They punished you for sins that weren't yours, dragging you into battles that belong to someone else. But you're not the wound, they are. You're the mirror reflecting all their pain, and mirrors don't create cracks. They reveal them. And now, as the mirror shatters, their illusions are breaking too. Every lie they built to protect themselves is falling apart under the weight of your truth. Think about it like this: carrying old wounds is like dragging a heavy chain you don't even see. You walked into their lives carrying your light, and that chain rattled loud enough for them to hear. They flinched, pushed back, and tried to bury you beneath their pain because facing you meant facing themselves, and that was too much to bear. You might wonder why they choose you to carry their pain, why you're the one taking the blows meant for someone else. The answer is simple: you shine too brightly. Your presence forces them to confront what they've spent years avoiding. And when that happens, the true fight isn't against you, it's against their own shadows. Here's the truth every chosen one must hold tight: you are not responsible for their wounds. Your role isn't to heal their past, but to stand firm in your light, no matter how much their pain tries to dim it. When they project their past onto you, it's their fear speaking, not your failure. You are the mirror breaking their illusions, the force that won't let them hide anymore. Their anger, their blame, it's the sound of old ghosts fighting to keep their grip. But you are stronger than their past, brighter than their pain. And as that mirror cracks and falls away, they have no choice but to face what they've tried so hard to ignore. So stand tall when their shadows fall on you. You are not the wound, they are. You are the light shattering the darkness they cling to, and in that light, the past loses its power. Number 6. You're the living proof they settled for less, and it terrifies them. Here's a truth so sharp, it cuts through the thickest silence. You aren't intimidating because you're scary or cruel. You're intimidating because you're alive. In a world full of people who settle for the bare minimum, who tuck their dreams away like forbidden secrets, your very existence is a rebellion. You are the fire burning bright in a sea of dull ashes. That light you carry isn't just a glow. It's a challenge, a reminder that many have already given up. And that terrifies them more than anything else. They see you moving forward, unapologetic and unshrinking, and it feels like a personal attack. Because deep down, they remember the dreams they buried under layers of responsibility and realism. Your life, your choices, your refusal to dim your light are proof that settling is not fate. It's a decision. And their decision to settle, it's a bitter pill they refuse to swallow without a fight. You might wonder, why does your courage unsettle them so much? Why does your refusal to conform make them lash out? It's because you remind them of what they lost, or worse, what they never had the courage to pursue. You're the living mirror, showing them that they traded passion for comfort, dreams for routine, fire for smoke. And no one likes to be reminded of what they gave up. Imagine a bird that was meant to soar but decided to stay in its cage because the sky looked too vast, too dangerous. Now imagine that bird watching another bird break free, wings wide open, flying higher and freer than ever imagined. The caged bird feels a mix of awe, envy, and fear. That bird is you, the one who broke free, and they are the ones who chose the cage. Your flight mocks their chains, and that mockery is painful. You didn't just survive, you thrived. You didn't just live, you showed what living truly means. You didn't apologize for being too much, or too loud, or too different. You refused to shrink to make others comfortable. And that refusal? That's a revolution. It's a bold statement in a world that expects conformity, silence, and compromise. You're proof that playing small is not a requirement. It's a choice, and every time you step into your power, every time you shine your light without apology, you remind others that they have the power to change their story too. But they have to choose to, something many aren't brave enough to do, and that's why they resent you. You're a walking, breathing reminder of their own surrender. To the chosen one who feels their courage questioned or their fire threatened, hold fast to this truth. Your life is a beacon. It's a lighthouse in a foggy sea, guiding those brave enough to look beyond their fears. Your energy, your passion, your refusal to settle is a threat to complacency everywhere. And complacency fights dirty. You may ask yourself, what if I'm really too much? What if their fight is because I'm pushing too hard? Here's the answer. Being too much is exactly what the universe intended. You were never meant to blend into the background or whisper when you could roar. You're a force of nature, unpredictable, unstoppable, and undeniable. If they can't handle your light, that's on them, not you. Think of yourself as a wildfire racing through a forest of old trees, long dead and dying. The wildfire doesn't ask permission. It burns through what's weak and rots away, clearing the path for new growth. That fire is uncomfortable, destructive, yes, but it's also necessary. It's cleansing. And the forest? That's the world settling for less, afraid of growth, clinging to decay. Your fire threatens that decay, and that's why they fear you. You're the proof that life isn't meant to be small or quiet or safe. You're the loud heartbeat pounding against the dull thrum of complacency. You're the rebel with a cause to live fully, to love fiercely, and to refuse anything less than your full potential. So when they argue, when they try to put you down or make you feel like you're too much, remember, you're not the problem. Their discomfort is a symptom of their own resignation. They settled and you didn't. That's the real battle. Stand proud, stand tall. Your life is the loudest statement that settling is a choice, and you chose to live loud, live wild, and live free. And that, chosen one, is what makes you unstoppable. Number 7, you were their emotional dumping ground, and that broke them. Here's the harsh reality. Chosen one, you became their emotional trash can. They dumped their fears, their pain, their darkest dysfunctions on your shoulders, not because you asked for it, but because you were strong enough to hold it without breaking. You absorbed their chaos like a shield, stayed calm when storms raged around you, and carried burdens that were never yours to bear. But make no mistake, just because you held it doesn't mean it was ever meant for you. They treated you like a landfill, tossing their toxic waste in hopes it would disappear beneath your silence. You didn't explode, so they kept piling on, expecting that one day all that mess would just vanish. But here's the brutal truth. You're not a dumpster. You're not a sacrifice for their brokenness. You carried their dysfunction because you dared to be bigger, stronger, and more patient than they were prepared for. And that patience? It was their weakness in disguise. Now that you're gone or stepping away, they realize the chaos you carried isn't gone with you. In fact, it's louder, messier, and impossible to ignore. The dysfunction they tried to bury beneath your strength is screaming in their faces. Removing you didn't fix their problems. It stripped away the thin veil hiding their truth. And that truth? It's ugly, undeniable, and their responsibility, not yours. Ask yourself, why did they dump their emotional garbage on you? Because you were the strongest link, the one who wouldn't crack under pressure. But strength is not permission. It's not a free pass to use someone as a container for pain. Theirs was never your burden to carry. They mistook your resilience for an endless supply of patience. But patience is not weakness, it's a choice. And when that choice runs out, the truth surfaces. Imagine a dam holding back a raging river. You were that dam, holding back floods of anger, resentment and pain that others refuse to face. But dams break when the pressure is too great, and when you step away, the floodwaters spill free. That flood isn't your doing. It's the consequence of years of unchecked dysfunction. And now, without you holding it back, the mess is raw, exposed, and screaming for attention. They thought cutting you out would seal the leak, quiet the flood, fix the chaos. They were wrong, because dysfunction ignored doesn't disappear, it grows. Like weeds in a garden left untended, their problems spread wildly, choking out everything that was once healthy. You weren't the source of their disorder. You were the caretaker trying to keep their garden alive. But a garden can't thrive when roots are rotten deep beneath the surface. You might wonder, did I fail by carrying so much of their pain? Should I have fought harder? Here's the answer. Carrying pain that isn't yours is a sacrifice only the truly strong make. You didn't fail. You survived. You protected yourself as best you could, and when the time came, you chose to let go. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Walking away from dysfunction is the hardest victory because it means refusing to be a dumping ground anymore. To the chosen who still feels the weight of others' chaos, know this: your strength is not a license for others to hurt you. You deserve space to heal, to grow, to live without carrying the emotional garbage of those too afraid to face themselves. When you stop being their dumping site, you reclaim your power. You let the universe remind them that their mess is theirs alone. Remember this quote: "You cannot pour from an empty cup. Your cup was full of their pain, but now it's time to refill it with your own peace. The dysfunction they left behind is a storm they must weather without you. And that storm, as fierce as it is, will force them to confront what you once carried in silence. They feared your absence because it meant facing the chaos they hid so well. They thought silence was safety, but silence is just the quiet before the reckoning. Now that you're no longer their emotional vault, the truth is exposed, and it's a reckoning they can no longer avoid. Stand firm in your decision to walk away. Your strength was never meant to be a prison. It was meant to be your shield and your sword. You protected yourself long enough, and now it's time to protect your peace. The louder their dysfunction gets, the clearer it becomes. You were never the problem. You were the one strong enough to hold their brokenness and brave enough to leave it behind. You were their emotional dump site, yes, but you're no longer the landfill. You are the chosen one who chose to rise above the mess, and that, above all, is unstoppable. Number 8, you threatened their whole system, and that's why they feared you. Here's a fact that cuts deeper than any insult. Dysfunctional systems don't fear chaos. They fear truth. And you, chosen one, were the walking, breathing truth they couldn't control. You weren't just rattling a few cages, you were shaking the entire foundation of their world. Whether it was the twisted family dynamics, the toxic office politics, or the poisonous groupthink they all thrived on, you threatened the structure itself. And systems built on lies don't survive when someone dares to question the rules. You weren't a threat to individuals. They could handle that. What terrified them was that you refused to play by their broken rules. You challenged the unwritten codes, the silent agreements, the "that's just how things are" mindset that kept the dysfunction alive. You shined a light on their shortcuts, their hidden agendas, and their cowardly compromises. And once you started asking questions, the entire system began to crumble. Imagine a house built on sand, with walls patched together by old secrets and half-truths. You showed up not with a hammer, but with a spotlight, and when the cracks appeared under the glare of your scrutiny, the whole structure threatened to collapse. That's what made you dangerous, not because you wanted to destroy, but because you refused to be complicit. You reminded everyone that a house built on lies is destined to fall. They asked themselves, who does this person think they are? Who gave them the right to question everything? The truth is, no one gave you permission, and that's exactly why they feared you. Systems like these survive only when everyone stays silent and obedient, like sheep following a shepherd with a broken compass. You weren't sheep. You were the wolf in their story, tearing through the facade and exposing their weaknesses. You might ask, why me? Why was I the one singled out? Because the universe chooses those who see clearly. You were awake when so many were asleep. You heard the whispers behind closed doors, saw the glances that hid resentment, and felt the tension in every forced smile. You recognized the patterns of control, manipulation, and fear, and instead of playing along, you called them out. There's a quote that fits you perfectly. The truth will set you free, but first it will make you miserable. You lived that misery, not because you wanted to suffer, but because the freedom you sought demanded it. You paid the price of isolation, judgment, and backlash because you refused to let the lie continue. And that price? It was worth every moment. Systems like the ones you challenged don't just collapse on their own. They fight back with every tool they have: gossip, exclusion, intimidation. They tried to silence you, to label you a troublemaker, a rebel, or worse. But you knew their tactics were signs of weakness. When a system is strong, it welcomes questions. When it's weak, it attacks the questioner. You may wonder, did I overstep? Was I too bold? The answer is simple. Courage is not a crime. You were too brave for their comfort zone, too honest for their convenience. You didn't break the system. You exposed its cracks. You didn't start the chaos. You revealed the rot beneath the surface. And that's why they feared you more than any storm. Picture a termite infestation hidden inside a beautiful wooden house. To the casual eye, everything looks fine, but you saw the damage beneath the surface, the weak beams, the rotting supports. When you brought a flashlight to the problem, the termites panicked. They couldn't hide anymore. You didn't destroy the house. You revealed what was already breaking it down. And what about the moments when you doubted yourself? When the backlash felt overwhelming and you questioned if it was worth it? Remember, every giant fall started with a small crack. Every revolution begins with one voice refusing to be silent. You weren't alone, even if it felt that way. The universe stands with those who question, who challenge, who refuse to settle for broken systems. To the chosen who stands at the edge of change, hold your ground. Your voice is the hammer breaking their fragile walls. Your questions are the sparks that ignite transformation. Systems built on fear crumble when confronted with courage. And you, unyielding, fearless, relentless, you are the catalyst. So, when they try to box you in, remember, you aren't just fighting people, you're fighting the very foundation they built to keep you down. And the foundation can't hold when you keep breaking the rules and shining the light. You are not the problem. You are the reckoning. Stand tall, speak truth. The system fears you because you're the change it never saw coming, and that, chosen one, is your power. Number 9. They grew worn out defending their own lies. Here's a truth that stings the loudest. They spent years weaving a false story about you, a narrative built on deception and fear. They crafted tales to paint you as the villain, the problem, the reason for their discomfort. But lies are heavy. Carrying them day after day, defending them against truth, twisting reality in endless mental gymnastics, it wears a person down. And now, after all their effort, they're discovering something harsh and undeniable. They broke themselves trying to break you. Deception demands constant effort. Imagine carrying a heavy mask that never fits quite right, forced to smile and act a part no longer believable. That's what they did, living in a story that wasn't real, fighting to keep their version alive even when every sign pointed to the truth. Lies don't just fool others, they trap the liar, draining their energy, clouding their mind, eating away at their spirit. They didn't realize the cost at first. Every insult hurled at you, every rumor spread, every accusation was like a brick laid on the weight of their own guilt and insecurity. They built walls of falsehoods, hoping to block out the light you shined, but those walls became prisons, trapping them in their own web. And webs aren't built for the spider's freedom. They're built to catch prey. They became caught in their own trap. Now, exhaustion has settled in. Their minds are tired from bending facts, from justifying the unjustifiable. Their hearts are weary from carrying anger that wasn't theirs to hold. They began the fight thinking they'd break you, but the truth is, the battle broke them first. They lost themselves in the process, worn thin by the lies they tried so hard to protect. You might wonder, why did they keep fighting for something so false? Why did they put so much energy into tearing me down? The answer is fear. Fear of facing reality, fear of their own weaknesses, fear that if they admitted the truth, their whole world would collapse. It's easier to attack than to reflect, easier to blame than to heal. But that choice came with a cost, and that cost is now their burden to bear. Imagine running a race, carrying a backpack filled with stones that aren't yours. You might keep running, pushing forward, but eventually your legs will buckle and you'll fall. That's what happened to them. They tried to slow your pace, but in doing so, they crippled themselves. The heavier their lies, the harder it became to keep up the act. And here's the kicker, you didn't break under the pressure. Your strength was real, steady, and unshakable. The lies couldn't dim your light. You stood firm while they wore themselves down, defending fantasies. That's the irony. They thought they were winning, but all they did was lose themselves. So, to the chosen one who's watched the chaos unfold, take heart. The lies are cracking, the false narratives are collapsing, and those who tried to drag you down are paying the price. Their exhaustion is proof that the truth is winning. Their brokenness is the aftermath of their own deception. Remember this quote: "A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is still tying its shoes. But the truth always catches up, and when it does, it brings justice." They got tired of defending lies because lies cannot hold forever. And you are the truth that will never tire. Now that you've seen the truth behind the battles, remember this: your strength is unstoppable because it's backed by the universe itself. The more they fight, the more they reveal their own cracks, and your light only grows brighter. If you're ready to stand firm and embrace your power as the chosen one, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop the number 77 in the comments below. Share this message with others who need to hear it. Together, we rise, and the universe takes notice. Let's keep shining, because the truth can never be dimmed.